So, as everyone has joined, so first of all, I would like to say hello, good morning, all of you. Thank you for joining today. First, I'll give a short intro about me. I'm Bijal Badra, Innovation Associate at AIC-NMIMS. I will be the host today for this event. Uh, so before we start, I'll give an event flow for today. So first, there will be a brief about our Corporate Innovation Connect program, and then there will be a panel discussion where our panelists will share some information with us on the topic new technology and innovation in BFSI sector. And then there will be, after that, there will be a interactive Q&A session with our startups. So now I'll give a brief about our Corporate Innovation Connect program under which we are doing this event today. So this program is for the purpose of bridging the gap between the startups and the corporates. So what we do is we introduce startups to our corporate partners who are looking for a solution and want the solution to be deployed in their system. And that's the how we bridge the gap by making our startups and our corporates meet. That all about us. Now I would like to introduce our panelists for today. Our first panelist is Mr. Srinidhi Shama Rao, sir, Chief Strategy Officer at Igono Life. Thank you
Hi
so
guys.
much, sir, for joining.
My
Our second,
pleasure.
hi, hello, sir. Uh, and our second panelist for today is Mr. Sunil Sharma, sir, President, Chief Actuary, and Chief Risk Officer at Kotak Life. Thank you so much for joining, sir.
Thank you.
I would like to say a very warm welcome to all two of you and even to all our panelists today who took out the time on a Saturday morning to join us for this event and have a discussion with us. Thank you so much. We AIC-NMIMS are really grateful to each one of you. So I think we shall begin with the event. So now I would like to request our panelists to share some insights and information with us on the topic for event today, that is new technology and innovation in BFSI sector. So I think I would like to request Mr. Srinidhi Rao, sir, if you can share something with us today.
Absolutely. Yeah. So first of all, yeah, hi everybody. Very nice meeting you guys, and thanks, Bijal, for the opportunity. Yeah. So a bunch of various things are happening from from an innovation perspective on the BFSI side of things. So let me take a few dimensions of these innovations and talk about what's happening there, right? And so on the one side, obviously, it all starts with the customer and ends with the customer, right? So a lot of work is happening on the core of customer experience, if you will, right? So if you ask what is the future, okay, we all know data is the new oil, vagara, talk about AI and all the good things, but eventually nothing is useful unless it all results in customer experience. So from that perspective, a lot of experimentation and innovation is happening in terms of how do we expand the customer experience. It could be something as simple as just being available on WhatsApp, right, when you were not available yesterday, right, to something a lot more complex in terms of going to the customer. So how many of us go to a bank today, right? As against pre-COVID 5 years ago, all of us used to go to banks, right? But today, how many of us go to bank? In the last 5 months, 6 months at least, I have not gone to a bank, and I guess it's true with most of you guys as well, right? So how can we be available on digital platforms where the customer is present, right, and give a experience that is at least equal to or better than what he or she would have got in the real physical world, right? That is the first dimension in which a lot of innovation is happening. And second aspect of that is, today we are talking about a customer who has very little attention span and very little loyalty, if you will, right? How many of you have both Zomato and Swiggy on your phone, or both Ola and Uber on your phone, right? So almost all of us, right? So we're talking about a world where you can compare and contrast, right? In a bank, HDFC Bank app, right, and a Amazon app, right, or ICICI Bank app and a and a Swiggy app or a Zomato app, right? So for customer, it's all the same. For us, it's all very different industries. We need a KYC, we need something else, right, in order to onboard a customer. But Swiggy guy doesn't need that. As far as customer is concerned, he expects exactly the same kind of experience. I know in both these places, and that's why. So we are competing not against another bank or another insurance company, but we are, from a customer experience perspective, we are competing against a Zomato or a Swiggy or and Amazon. Right? The second dimension in which a lot of innovation is happening, where we can make it super seamless for the customer in terms of the journey, in terms of the experience on the website and on the app. But in the background, we need to do a lot of work because we are a bank or an insurance company. We need to do a lot of work in terms of understanding the customer, understanding the risk of fraud with this customer, understanding the risk of financial awareness, financial the capability of this customer, and so on and so forth. Right? So these are the dimensions in which a lot of innovation is going on. And of course, a lot of bit on the back end side, it might be a loan underwriting or insurance underwriting and so on and so forth, where a lot of AI is kind of replacing. We're moving towards a world where the underwriter is not a person but an algorithm. Okay, so that's other side in which work is going on. Let me just take a pause and let you guys go on, but I can add a lot more points as we go through.
Thank you, sir, for sharing the information with us. Now I would like to request Mr. Sumit Sharma, sir, to share some information with us on this topic.
Thank you, Bijal, and good morning, everybody. I think it's a good beginning by Mr. Rao. And let me just, I think, add. So basically, I think innovations, if you look at the heart of the insurance is the customer. You know, what we're doing, all of this is for the customers. The customers' preferences are changing over a period. If you look at it, I think those customers. I worked with LIC, maybe perhaps 20 years back. I left LIC and worked for close to 10 years with LIC. And there was the time when customer will stand in queue for paying premiums for hours and hours. That was the time when LIC was in monopoly, and the customer did not have any option just to actually make sure that they managed to pay the premiums. And so I think over a period, the whole 2 decades of journey after privatization of life insurance companies, the customers' expectations have changed significantly. And recently, over the decade, if you look at it, some of these online e-commerce customers have completely changed the expectations. So, for example, us, if we order something on Amazon or Flipkart or any of those e-commerce websites, our expectations is the product should come same day. The customer is looking for instant gratification. While actually in some of these areas, you can see the pizza, for example, you can just get in half an hour or whatever the turnaround time that they usually mention. So the customer is actually looking for instant gratification, and a lot of innovations are happening around that. And any of these generations of customers, if you look at perhaps my generation of customers will still have low expectations in terms, because we're seeing the whole journey, how the customer services have changed over a period. But the new generation of customers do not have the patience, and they want to see what they buy immediately. And therefore, a lot of innovations is happening here in terms of how could you really provide instant services to the customers. There are certain, insurance is different from obviously your other products. While you could see the products there in Amazon, you can see the pictures, you can the color, you can see the size, etc., etc. And sometimes a lot of people also go offline and look at the stuff before they buy it. But insurance, what you're selling is a contract. It's very boring. Even the people in the insurance companies, many don't read those contracts. And therefore, I think it is important, really. And also, who you can, not everybody is eligible to that buy. Where in Amazon, anybody can go out there, pay and buy, but insurance is not for everybody. And therefore, instant gratification is not possible. So I think a lot of innovation that's happening is in terms of how do you reach the customer? How do you select the customer? Because you do not want actually uninsurable lives in your portfolio, which will lead to all your assumptions that you use in pricing the products going haywire. You're actually expecting claims of 100 crore where you get a claims of 200 crore if you don't keep a filter. And therefore, a lot of profile-based innovations is happening, going back to artificial intelligence, machine learning tools. How could we really automate, selecting the customers, look at them, classify them into very high risk, medium risk, and see how you don't need. So some of the low risk, very low risk customers could be given this instant gratification. For example, you pay the premium and within certain span of time, you can really issue the policy contract. But there are some other lives, where the high risk or high sum assured, obviously people have to go through related more due diligence by the underwriters. And there are also a lot of automations, rule-based underwriting, etc. is going on. So from that perspective, a lot of innovations is happening on the onboarding of the customers. If you look at the other aspect is of the customer services in terms of paying the premiums, for example. I think there's a lot of innovations that happen there. We are one of the countries where we have the largest, the highest number of digital transactions are happening in the country, and insurance is not away from that. Look at, you have different modes of premium payments, and I think if you look at any of the financial services industry, insurance in terms of premium payment facilities there, instant issuance of the receipt to the policyholders, and getting by the email, mobile phone, etc. etc. A lot of services improvements are happening there. Claims is another area wherein the very reason for anybody buys the policy is getting the claim for the beneficiaries when they need it, and therefore if somebody actually lose the bill of in their family and the head of the family, it's important that the money goes to these beneficiaries instantly. And therefore, innovations is happening in terms of how do you really ascertain faster and quickly that the claim is genuine. You have to make sure that, because the policyholder's money, it's a pooling of all the money, and you have to kind of differentiate between the genuine customers, genuine claims, and the fraudulent claims. And therefore, some of the AIML is started working on all those directions. So these are some of the areas where I think distribution is another key element in key stakeholder in an insurance company, because the products are complex. As I said, it's the most boring product you could have. Who's going to read 10 pages, 20 pages of the contract, and therefore you need somebody trustworthy to explain you the product. The face, actually, I think in the Indian society and anywhere in the world, people do trust face-to-face interactions when you have something that you can't see, you can't feel, you don't have a fragrance of that, and there's no color, there's no size, all this sort of thing is not there, and therefore you need somebody to really explain, trustworthy person to explain you what are you getting into, how much you have to pay, how much you will get, all that sort of details. And therefore, it's extremely critical for insurance companies to provide better services to the distributors. And a lot of work is happening in terms of how to quickly compensate the distributors, how to really help customers to actually translate the leads into the policies, so that the distributors could be much more efficient. And all the product related information, the presentations, there could be videos, all that available. A lot of digitization is happening, so that you could say that the information in palm is what is happening currently at the moment. So that when you're sitting with the customer as a distributor, you got everything on your phone or your tablet, so that you can give it to the customer and handle all the queries and reduce the risk of rejection with that the customer. So I think that's what is happening in nutshell, Vijay.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for sharing the information with us. I would like to thank both of our panelists for sharing this valuable information with us. It was really insightful. Now, I would like to open our interactive question and answer round. So if any of our startups have any question, they can go ahead with it. Yes, Mukesh sir, you can unmute your mic.
Yes. Hi Srinidhi. Hi Sunil. This is Mukesh Matre. I'm from Newer Self Solutions Private Limited. We are a startup based out of Pune, and we have a SaaS product which can be installed on a mobile phone, and we extract various health vitals, just by using the mobile phone, like the blood pressure, heart rate, respiration rate. So, in fact, we already have some insurance customers, companies as our customers in India. So yeah, so in your organizations, how do you look at such a innovation? That would be my question.
Yeah. No, so what we are, as Sunil sir was talking about, no, the primary the course of direction of innovation in most of the insurance companies today is, how do we make it super easy for the customer in terms of, we actually knowing about the status of the customer, both in terms of his financial status as well as in terms of the health status, without no, like making the customer go through a whole lot of, 2 rounds of no, visit to a diagnostic center and then something else and something else, right? And a million documents that he needs to upload and so on and so forth, right? So how do we
Yeah.
make it seamless, for the customer, at the same time get the information that we need, about the customer with his consent or her consent, so that both parties win eventually. That is that's the crux of all the innovations going on today in the BFSI world, right? So from that perspective, if you guys do have a solution that can, either through a touch of a hand or a video, or whatever, can actually determine with a good amount of confidence the health status of the customer, it's an amazing step forward. So we are actually doing a lot of experiments from that perspective, but the reliability of the results has not been, as good. So for example, we just tried out thing where you wear a wristband and then the wristband keeps sending the information about the customer to the company. But the thing is that there were a lot of frauds happening from that perspective. We tried a bunch of video based health analytics. For example, there will be a video and then that gives a 15-second video, 30-second video that will give you the blood pressure, heart rate, and a lot of things about the customer. Again, few of them are working out well, but most of them did not work out well when we experimented. So, but if you can reliably provide results, then that is a major value add to any insurance company, definitely, and maybe to banks also in the future.
Okay. Thank you, Srinidhi. Mr. Sunil, would you like to add to this?
I was on mute. I started talking. So I think for the organization like yours, I think there's plenty of opportunities to really innovate, and particularly in the area, you can help really insurance companies to see how could we do the health due diligence, because we do due diligence as Rao mentioned. One is about the financials, to avoid the moral hazard. You don't want actually, so everybody has a value of life. Somebody in rural areas may have, 10 lakhs, then 10 lakhs may not be valuable in cities, So therefore, it's important you to relate the amount of insurance that you give to the people in line with the value of the life of that individual. The basics of insurance is that we need to try and reduce the moral hazard risk. And therefore, you look at the income of the person and then the pecuniary loss to the family if the person is not there. There should not be incentive for the family if the person is not there, right? There should be pecuniary loss. The second is on the health. Insurance company would like to make sure that all these premiums that insurance company price is based on certain mortality assumptions. And mortality assumptions is a function of how you select. So the population mortality could be 4 times, 5 times more than the insured population mortality, right? And therefore, when you want to really, price a product, which is, let's say, 1/4 or 1/5 of the insured the population mortality, you have to put a filter in place, particularly from the health perspective. And therefore, the health, partners can really help in terms of how do we, select those lives so that the mortality experience of these selected lives in line with what you price for. If you've not done that, you will have mortality loss, and the business that you've been doing is not resulting into the outcome that you expect. Everybody is doing the business to actually kind of obviously the premium is sufficient to pay the claims and perhaps generate some profits for the shareholders who's putting a tremendous amount of capital into the business. And therefore, what you could help is in terms of selecting those lives and kind of deselect the lives, where the mortality is significantly higher than what is expected. And perhaps if there are lives insurable, they can be insured at, substandard, extra, etc. But I think it's important to really appropriately find out how much extra mortality is expected from these guys, which health companies, I think, can do really good job. And the second thing is important, that customers' convenience. As we're saying, I gave the example of Amazon, everything at home, Pizza Hut, everything at home within certain span of time. Therefore, particularly these days, nobody wants to go to the pathology lab to really get the blood sample, to actually do the ECG, to actually do all these sort of things. And I think we have to innovatively think, how could we really utilize the movable, can we really move our pathology lab to the doorstep of the customer at the reasonable cost, and still without affecting the quality of the test, without affecting the quality of the outcome. And I think I've heard a lot of stories about the metaverse on this in this area. When the patients are being treated in the room using the metaverse. I think some hospital in Bangalore has already started that. So there's a lot of innovation possible in this area in terms of how could you look at the health of the person and help insurance companies to underwrite the lives from the health perspective.
Okay.
I hope that answers your question, Mukesh.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Sunil. Thank you very
The only
much.
thing that you need to keep in mind, though, Mukesh, while doing any of this is we are talking about an industry where there is professionally organized fraud, right? So on the one side, your solution should work in a very reliable fashion using IoT or whatever devices that you use, right?
Yeah.
But on the other side, for example, if you're talking about a mobile phone that can send the heartbeat and other statistics about the person to the company, right? But how are you making sure that the customer that you are talking about is the one who is actually holding the mobile phone, for the period in consideration, right? He can always give it to a healthy person and make it happen, right? So we are talking about industry where there is organized professional fraud. So there are two aspects. One is reliability of your solution, and secondly, how are you, making sure that this cannot be fraudulently, done. So these are two aspects that you need to take care of. Sorry,
Yeah.
Avinda had opened.
Yes, Srindra. Thank you very much.
Avinanda, now you can unmute yourself and ask questions, sir.
Thank you very much. Actually, I found this statement and the deliberations of Mr. Mukesh and Mr. Sunil very, very interesting. So, since I have been in the insurance industry for more than 3 decades, and now I'm, of course, advising Wisegos. So, I thought that maybe 1 or 2 points which was stated can be augmented from my experience. Number one, you were talking of this fraud aspect. Now, when the insurance companies, they price a product, which was what was being talked about, it is entirely removed from the fraud aspect. Because whether you price a product based on certain parameters, where they walk into your office and and give you the ECG reports, blah blah blah, or whether you put a monitoring device on them, etc., the possibility or probability of fraud will remain by and large same. All systems can be manipulated. What is fraud? Fraud is nothing but twisting a system to your own advantage, to your own unfair advantage. So that can be done with any system, but that will not deter us from establishing a system for the easiest and the most convenient way of gathering information. And coming back, therefore, to the system, what he said was, getting the real time or the real time parameters to the insurance company. Of late, many insurance and especially health specialized health insurance companies, what they're giving more emphasis is not on a one-time submission of your health parameters. If you realize that when they used to do the tests, ECG and blood test and etc., and submit, that was a one-moment test. Now that itself is subject to fraud, because when I feel that I am very healthy and all that, I do the tests and give a good report. But what is now being emphasized upon is a constant monitoring. So what happens is you may have a wearable device, or you may be mandated with the incentive of a discount, mandated that every day or every 2 days you have to take ABCD exams and upload into a server which the insurance company gives you. And this pattern, this health pattern of yours will determine the discount that you get in your renewal premium. So and when it becomes a regular kind of thing, then it is very difficult to continue a fraud. For a one-time activity, you might, get into the thing and organize a fraud, or fraud in the sense, a false report or a manipulated report. But if it is going to happen automatically and every day, then the fraud aspect will be also collaterally eliminated. This is the thing which means I just wanted to sort of bring to your notice and submit. So technology does play a big role. It's not as if you can fraud yourself out of technology. Technology can outfraud you by this regular kind of monitoring.
That's brilliant, brilliant, very interesting.
How do I undo this hand show? Okay.
So if anyone has any other questions, they can raise their hand and talk about it. There are no other questions. So I would now like to request our panelists if they want to add something with their topic before we end this event today.
I think you are on mute, Mr. Sinidhi.
Am I audible now?
No, these are the other areas which we did not touch upon is which is extremely critical from customer perspective as well as from the insurance companies is, the whole continuation of premium payments of the policy. Policyholders actually buys the policy, say for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years premium payment term. And a lot of people actually discontinue this journey in between. And actually, it's neither in the benefit of insurance company nor in the interest of the policyholders. Because what happens is, as an insurance principle, the insurance companies spend quite a lot of money at the beginning of the period to acquire the customer, through the contract, to pay their stamp duty, to pay the commission to the agents, etc. And therefore, when the policyholders discontinue the policy, insurance company is not able to recover those costs. Second, the policyholder loses its money because the surrender values are not great, or maybe they may be share of the policy, if not all the premiums have been paid into the policy. So I think it's neither in the benefit of policyholders nor in the interest of the insurance companies whereas some of these policies discontinues. And this lot of innovations have started happening here. The insurance companies have realized that we really need to put our efforts to educate the customers, to really find out the propensity to lapse for certain policyholders. How could we really identify the profiles, wherein the propensity to lapse is high, and so which would mean classify them high maintenance customers, and which would mean that you need to kind of resell the products to them because perhaps the distributor has not done a good job at that time. I mean, none of the product is wrong, right? These products are made in the best interest of the policyholders. The actuaries, the products team, the products management committee, in the insurance companies' offices, and also the regulators really do a due diligence in terms of the whole interest of the policyholders and the balance between the safety and the financial conditions also of the insurance company. Therefore, these products are very good products. I think a lot of innovations happening in the area. How could we really enhance the persistency of the portfolios? And utilize some AI/ML tools to really calculate the propensity and classify the customers into, the customers with high propensity to lapse can probably be given more regards in terms of connecting with them, calling them, getting in touch with them, and reselling them the benefits of continuing the policy. That's an area I think where work is happening in the industry.
Sir, is there any automation process can help that? Like voice-based solution, like speech to text, text to speech, NLP and chatbot, as you mentioned in the last point.
No, absolutely, Mr. Ghosh. The AI/ML tools have started. At least we have been developing the AI/ML tools to really classify the customer, with the having certain propensity of lapsation, based on trainings to the model which have done over the last decades of data, and see how could certain customers, based on their behaviors, based on the profile, based on the distribution channel, based on the mode of payment, based on the type of products, etc. How's their propensity to lapse? And I think some other companies are also started doing the work in this direction, because all those traditional models of just the analytics does not help. You just need to go beyond that and see, out of, let's say, 10 lakhs of customers, which of the customers you need to allocate much more time than the others. The educated class perhaps understand the importance of the customer. The people, say, for example, shopkeepers or some of those people who were sold the policies by their relative and the friends, may not really understand the importance. So those, I think, need to be highlighted by the insurance companies, the retention team, and some sort of reselling would be required, which perhaps was weak at the time of selling of the policy.
Talking about spreading awareness or educating the customers, of course, there is a universal truth that insurance is a complex product.
Yeah.
In fact, the product is nothing but a future promise. And why do you pay in cash today for an uncertain promise tomorrow? So that's the fundamental dichotomy of the insurance concept. But however, in a lighter vein, we guys in the insurance industry, we sort of joke amongst us that the best educator of insurance is fear. Unless the guys are afraid, people don't want to come for insurance. Now, if I may say, fortunately, there is a lot of fear going around. Fortunately for the insurance sellers. And the ground truth is not really so much as this joke says that we sell only by fear. It's not a negative sell. But the insurance company, which in the case of a scare situation, gives the best and the most prompt service, he is the one who is actually doing the positive education on behalf of, in favor of insurance. So the service efficiency and the service willingness of the insurance professionals, insurance companies, is finally, it is the actual coaching manual for insurance. People who see that, yes, this happened and yes, I got this, will definitely not only go for renewal, but he'll encourage all his brethren and all the other people around him. And as the buzz builds up, the insurance penetration, insurance awareness will come up. So this is important more than, like chatbots and all that. And after all, if you see the penetration of insurance in our country, life insurance is about 4%. Total is 4%. It would be somewhere around 2.6%, something like that. So there is a whole ocean to cross. But all these insurance companies which are coming in, they are all jostling for a very small space. Because they feel that for deeper penetration, for more rural reach and semi-urban reach, where there is a lot of potential, they feel that the cost of acquiring business would be very high. And here in the urban centers, you have a very ready-made market. You just have to tap and you put a chatbot, and the guys will come and take insurance on the road. But there is an untapped potential which is there in the field, for which this service, the insurance company's service and efficiency, is the keyword.
Thank you so much, sir. If you want to add something, Shri, sir, we would like to hear something from you.
No, this was quite insightful. I mean, that's amazing. All right. Right. And yeah, and the other aspect of figuring out who are the customers who are most likely to lapse using analytical models, right? And then reaching out to them proactively and giving them some very interesting behavioral nudges, right? That's working quite well for us, and that's a very interesting point Sunil sir brought up. Right. And the last aspect of it is how do we keep the customer engaged? One is so one is how do you make it very simple and easy for the customer to actually purchase the policy. That's where we are talking about the journey and making it easy and so on and so forth. That's the first aspect. Second aspect is once the person becomes your customer, how do you make it super easy for renewal and also nudge the person where it is likely to lapse and so on and so forth. That's the second aspect of it. And the third aspect of it, during the claims process, again, how do you, the customer of claims is not the guy who has paid your premium, right? It's somebody else, right? So how do you make it, first of all, super easy when the person is already going through a mental trauma of losing losing a kith and kin, right? How do you make it super easy, at least from a financial perspective, so that they are they are not in, they have to go down, go through that trauma, right? That's one aspect of it. And second aspect of it is most people would not have seen that kind of money anytime in their life, right? Most of these nominees, right? So how do you make it easy for them in terms of the counseling or whatever, so that they know how to handle this kind of money, so that the money that you are giving out to them is actually useful, right? So this is another aspect that I know in which companies are working towards. Here, no AML can work. So this is actually company really caring about the customer. It's all about that. Right. So these are the three aspects in which in which a lot of work is going on. This to summarize.
Thank you so much, sir. Sunil sir, if you want to add something.
Yeah, Malik, pretty well covered, by both the speakers. I think the other areas which insurance companies, apart from what we just discussed about, product innovations is going to be now perhaps the forefront of all the insurance companies, as I think the new regulators is quite open in terms of kind of empowering insurance companies, product management committee to really decide on the products, unlike in past wherein there was a complicated process of filing and approvals and launch. At least for certain lines of business, the regulator is happy now to for the insurance companies to really design and launch within the corporate governance of the insurance companies. That could really lead to perhaps more innovation and perhaps varied offerings or improved offerings to the customers. Because at least that approval turnaround time would reduce immensely for the insurance companies. And so the other thing that I see is, which is likely not happening now, I mean, is again how the regulatory framework opens up. Can really, life insurance companies can sell the products of GI and health and vice versa, because the insurance penetration in the market is really low. It's like below close to 3 if you look at overall compared with the average of the average global of 6+. So you just need to double it, and doubling it would require a lot of time and effort. It's not easy in our country. And given the fact that you have a significant proportion of the population below the poverty lines, that will also, we have a different challenges compared with some of these developed markets. The opportunities are plenty, and therefore insurance companies really need to align the solutions in line with the overall socio-economic profile of the customers, the affordability of the customers you may like to offer. 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 3 lakh sort of covers in the rural areas, depending upon their affordability and also to avoid the moral hazard, and then separate products for cities, towns, etc., wherein you have more affordability, etc. So I'm expecting more innovations on the product side. And also, given the fact that there is a significant amount of underinsurance in the market, even the educated class is hugely underinsured. We talk about you should have at least 10 to 20 times your annual CTC as your cover. I mean, you'll be surprised that majority of the even educated class do not have insurance apart from what is provided by the employer, which normally employer provides one-time CTC. Just think about some of these guys who borrowed for their car, for their home, for the credit cards, etc., do not come home one of the days. I'm talking the educated class, living on credits, and therefore these people need to be, kind of explained, or somehow some cross-sell opportunities has to be really utilized to provide the solutions to undercoverage. So that's really important. Yeah, so I wanted to bring that aspect.
Okay, so thank you so much, sir, for sharing the information with us. Now, before we end the event, I would like to take this opportunity and thank Srinidhi Shama Rao sir and Sunil Sharma sir for joining us today. It was really great. We got to learn a lot from you. And even to all, I would like to thank all of our attendees today who took out the time to join us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thanks, Bijay.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.